Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a NickzAndMikz resource pack review, and you're joining me to review Pixel Perfection. We'll talk a little bit more about this resource pack, as we get in here, but here's the menu, and it looks quite nice. Let's go ahead and hop in game and we'll take a look at some textures. Alright, so without further ado, this is the Pixel Perfection resource pack for Minecraft 1.11. It is a 16 by 16 resource pack, and it is by XS Sheep on the Minecraft forums. My first note here, I'm looking at the sky, and it looks quite nice. It looks like these clouds are actually animated. It seems that the sky is actually animated, which is something I haven't seen before. The clouds are still here, but also these background clouds are very nice. And here's some information that you might need to know. Let's go ahead and take a look at a couple inventory items. Here we have the bow, here's the animation, and there's our arrow right there. Looks very nice. Oh, that sound is actually different too. Interesting. I don't have my sound turned up much, so I'll turn it up here. There we go. Huh. That's very nice. Here's an enchanted iron sword. This enchanted iron sword seems to have the default glowing texture. I don't know if you can change that. Here's a fishing rod. There's our bobber right out there. And here are some bottles of enchanting. And our experience little bubbles look quite nice. Here's a book and quill. Here's the inventory of the book and quill. Looks pretty good. Here's a map. Very nice map texture, I like that. We're going to do a couple things here in survival mode. We'll go ahead and slap this pumpkin on my face. It's still a little bit hard to see through the pumpkin, which is something some resource packs do. Here's our food meter, experience meter, health meter, and armor meter down at the bottom of the screen. And we can go ahead and throw on a shield and see what the shield looks like. Now, I haven't spent much time with shields, but it looks like this shield takes up a little bit less of the screen than the default, which is very nice. And here's some blocking with the shield. Oh, the moon looks quite nice. We haven't looked at the sun. There's the sun. And I don't think that's the moon. I don't know what's happening there. Regardless, we'll go ahead and take a look at some textures. Here are minecarts, hopper minecart, furnace minecart, and chest minecart. Here's our normal rail with our different types of rails as well. We'll come over here and take a look at the boats. Here's all the different types of boats. They look quite nice. I like the little white stripe here on the oars. That looks very good. And over here we have some blocks. Here's our observer block with a little red face on the back. That's nice. We have our dispenser block. It's animated here. We have our dropper block, which is also animated. Our chest, our furnace, and our crafting table. All very nice textures, and also our note block. And the notes look default, I believe, to me. Not sure about that. We have our jukebox. Ooh, very nice jukebox. We actually have a little vinyl on top. We have our sticky piston and our normal piston. And here's their extended textures. We have our enchanting table. Here's the interface. Very nice. I like that little scroll right there. And we can also just throw something in here. Oh, I think that's default text. Over here we have our brewing stand. Here's the inventory. And our cauldron right over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at some mobs and see how the mobs look. So as I just typed in the command to change the time to make sure it stays day, I've noticed that the chat is a little bit hard to read here. That might be a factor for those of you who play on multiplayer or like to read, especially on these signs. It's just a little bit hard to read. We'll spawn some mobs here, and something got out over there, but we'll deal with that momentarily. Here's our zombie texture. Here's our skeleton texture. We got a creeper right over here. We have a spider. We have cave spider that didn't decide to spawn. Silverfish. That's a pretty cool silverfish. I don't think I've seen a white one. Slime. On the ground are slime blocks. Magma cube. That's a very nice magma cube as well. I like that texture. Blaze. Nice and red, and I think it has blue eyes. That's very cool. It looks like here the Enderman did not spawn, but we have the Vindicator. We also have a Husk and the Stray. And here's an Enderman, actually. The Enderman got out. Very cool texture. Let's take a look at some peaceful mobs over on this side. Over here we have our cows, and it looks like some of the cows will be different colors. That one's brown, and these are a little more gray. Here we have some pigs. I think they look the same for the most part in terms of unity. We have our sheep. I think that sheep might just be the lighting in the back, but our sheep are there. We have our chickens. And here comes the squid coming up front. It has an eye. I just saw it briefly, but it seems to be hiding. Mushroom, very nice. Wolves. Ocelots. We have some villagers. Some zombie pigmen. We have one. Looks a little bit creepy. We have a horse. We have a donkey. We have a horse, and we have a skeleton horse there in the back. Here's a llama. And our polar bear didn't want to show up either. We'll really briefly spawn these mobs that didn't show up. First up is our cave spider, which is right here. There's the cave spider texture with green eyes, and it looks like kind of a Black Widow thing going on there on the back. Here is our polar bear. Very nice. It looks kind of cute, which is deceiving for a polar bear. Here is our ghast, which is very creepy. I see a lot of the nether mobs look quite creepy in this texture pack. Alright, and that will do it for mobs. Let's go ahead and take a look at some blocks and some other textures as well. Alright, right over here we have some wood varieties. Here's our off redstone and our powered redstone. Right here is sandstone. These are sandstone blocks. We have our oak planks on the ground over here, our oak door, our oak tree, as well as our oak sapling. And over here we have our pine planks on the ground with our pine door, our pine tree, and also our pine little sapling here. Right over here we have our birch tree with the pink leaves. That's very nice. Door, birch planks here on the ground, and our birch sapling, which also has pink leaves. That's good continuity between the two. And right over here we have our jungle planks. That's a very nice door, actually. I know it seems like a very small thing to talk about, but I like the door texture, how you can see through it, but it's still a nice door. Our jungle planks are here on the ground. We have our jungle sapling and our jungle tree, smaller jungle tree than the extra large ones. Right over here we have our cactus. Nice 3D texture as the traditional cactus is. Oh, it also has little arms, it appears. Perhaps those occur on different parts of the block. Our brown mushroom, the giant one and the smaller ones. We have our pumpkin and our jack-o'-lantern. We have a red mushroom with the smaller red mushrooms. We have some watermelon, potatoes, carrots, and wheat right over here. Cobweb and different snow blocks here. Let's go and take a look at our last wood variety before we take a look at some more blocks. Here's our dark oak planks and dark oak door. The gray is pretty nice there. It matches the sapling in particular. And here is our dark oak tree. Over here at the blocks we have bedrock. We have our redstone ores, as well as our item and our redstone block. We have our lapis block, different ores of lapis and our lapis item. We have our diamond ores and our diamond block here. We have our gold block, the ores and the ingots, iron ingots, ores, and the iron block, which is a little bit darker than I anticipated. And then we have our coal block, our coal ores, and our coal unit up there. Here is gravel. We have clay. We have orange clay in this version. And we have our dirt. Again, here are some doors. And here are just a bunch of different items. A bunch of dyes in this chest. Different items that you might use on a semi-regular basis. We have our iron bars, glass panes, and fences with fence gates. And then we also have our armor. We have chain armor here on the right. We have diamond armor. We have gold armor, iron armor, and leather armor. The leather armor is doing a little bit of a tank top thing here. Sleeveless. That's very interesting. So is the gold. Very nice looking armor. I like that a lot. Here's our obsidian with our nether portal. That looks kind of close to default portal texture here. I like the little floaty things though. And our end portal. The end portal is nice. It's gray and orange. Color scheme that kind of works. I like it. Before we get to the stairs, we can see the moon right over there. A very nice moon texture. I like the size and the detail on it. It's very nice. Here's a bunch of stairs, and also the same with our slabs. Right over here is our end crystal and our chorus plant, also from the end. And down here we have end stone and end brick. Next up, we'll go ahead and take a look at our simulated village to see what some houses look like. Alright, over here we have our water texture, we have our lava texture, and we have a little village. First up, we'll take a look at some colors of wool and shulker boxes. We have our red wool, orange wool, yellow wool, lime green wool, cyan wool, light blue, blue, purple, magenta, pink, white, light gray, gray, and black wools and shulker boxes. And the boxes look pretty nice. Good texture there, I like that. Here are our anvils with different amounts of damage. The left anvil being the least amount of damage, varying to the most damaged anvil. Here we'll just fly through this village and take a look at some combined textures and how they look. Here's the little armory stone house. We have a mossy stone house, as well as a bedrock house, just in case you never know when you need a bedrock house. We have a lapis house. Here's some glowstone. We have some dirt here. We have our mycelium here with the little floaties again. Soul sand. Very nice soul sand texture. Nether brick. Some different villager houses right over here. We have a horse. That's a very nice horse texture, actually. I like that a lot. Different sandstone blocks are here in this house, as well as brick, and our farms, and our little other armor-y thing there. Right over here we have some colored clay, and also our quartz blocks, right over here. We'll hop on over here and see what a simulated biome might look like. Here we have our nether biome, with our magma blocks here, and quartz blocks, and our nether rack surrounding. Right over here we have our little nether fortress running through this area. Looks pretty nice. Right over here we have the simulated end, which looks pretty good. It looks very clean, not too distracting. And I think the gray and stone works pretty well instead of yellow, as in the default texture pack. Here's a bit of a taiga biome. Looks pretty good. From above it looks fairly default, but as we get closer then you can see the variation, especially in the flowers and stuff of the like. Right over here we have our extreme hills biome with a very cute cow. It's very nice right there. The extreme hills look good. I'm always a fan of the extreme hills biomes regardless of the texture, so that looks very nice. We have lots of mobs in there too. Here we have our jungle biome. Here we have some rain in our swamp biome. The swamp biome looks pretty nice. And here's the squid that we can get closer to. That's pretty nice. And the squid is also a different color than the other squid that we saw previously. There's another one over here actually that's running away from us. There it is. Here's a bit of a forest biome with the birch and oak trees interspersed. You can see the pink works pretty well along the green of the other trees. I like it a lot. And lastly, we have our desert biome with some cactus. Yeah, here's the arms that we were talking about. That's very cool. The little arms stick out. Here's some of the desert shrubs as well. Alright, so I just saw these on the ground here. The little different blocks. These are all sand blocks still, but there's different variations in some of the textures. It looks like there's a random chance of these occurring. I'm not sure what they indicate, but little variations of maybe shells or just something to give a little bit of variety here in the desert and probably on a beach. And here we have some of the skulls that you can unlock in vanilla Minecraft. Next up, we'll take a look at the boom room, which is where we can check out the explosion texture. There's our TNT texture, by the way. And here is what the explosion looks like. Ooh, I like that a lot. There's some red in there, a little bit of black as well. Just a little bit different from vanilla Minecraft, which looks very nice. Well, I forgot to film this part yesterday when I was filming the other section, and for some reason today I'm Steve Skin, I don't know why, but I decided to give this resource pack a solid 8 out of 10, and my decision behind doing that is because a lot of the textures, it was really easy to tell what they were intended to be, and there wasn't much confusion of trying to determine what this texture might be in comparison to the default texture. So I give the Pixel Perfection resource pack a solid 8 out of 10. I keep calling it a texture pack because I'm not used to calling them a resource pack. Well, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Pixel Perfection Resource Pack by XS Sheep on the Minecraft forums. If you want to download this pack, there will be a link down in the description, and if you have comments about the episode, go ahead and leave them down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. And here we have some of the skulls. I can't talk.